Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Blonde Intelligence. This week we have a special guest, Mr. Royce Braxton, and he does trap jazz. Hello, Mr. Royce. How are you doing?
Hey, how are you doing out there? Wonderful. Thank you for having me on. I truly appreciate it.
Oh, okay. I
Really
want you
appreciate
to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, starting with where you're from.
Absolutely. My name is Royce. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, the south side of Chicago originally. The home of Kanye, the home of others, Obama, Oprah. Um, so that's where I'm from originally. Fell in love with music at an early age, and I've learned to find a way to fuse trap music and jazz music together to make peaceful, wonderful art and soulful music. I also enjoy putting music together for films, independent films, and also video games. So it's something I'll continue to kind of forge ahead and do.
Okay. So, do you have any plans on leaving outside of Chicago, or are you trying to make your mark in Chicago? I mean, what are your plans?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the plan right now is to continue to pitch to advertisers, commercial and ad agencies to get global campaigns for trap music that fuses jazz and also EDM music that will fuse jazz for commercials and film and others. So I would like to have a global presence.
Okay. So, have you done any performances? Um, I know with COVID, that's been hard. I
Yeah,
mean, so have you done any type of performances or virtual performances or anything? How have you adapted? I don't
yeah,
even know where we're at with COVID right now. So,
right, right. No, I understand. I mean, just to take the piece on COVID, I mean, October coming up, none of us know if we'll have the flu, questionable COVID, or what we'll do. So the time scale has to project out. And I understand, great question. But right now, as far as music, what I have been doing is finding a way to produce more albums. So, for example, there's Trap Jazz that's dedicated to trap and jazz. I have another album called Theater for Therapy that's geared towards large scale orchestra like music for video games. So I've been using this time to segment the the product and the music and to be able to kind of aim it at certain targets.
okay. Sound like you have a educational background in music.
Yeah. Well, I do so maybe not in music per se, but I do have an MBA from Oakland City University in Indiana. And I say that to say, funny you say that because my mind and the goal has always been to take music, um, like the website I have, Code Game Music, and to be able to fuse that where developers of software that are in, say, computer science 50 classes at universities can take some of the music and weave it into the video games that they are practicing to develop. And that is something that I'm still kind of pushing for. And honestly, it's as simple as me continuing to send links and send music to students within that university so they could use that music in a royalty-free sense to develop code. So that's some of the thinking that I've had with the website piece. But as far as education, I've got an MBA, and the cool thing about that is it fuels the entrepreneurial spirit. You know, the MBA for it's taken a different take throughout the years, but now I know they teach a lot of classes online. But basically now, when
And
you
the
hear
music
MBA,
industry is mostly business. It's not
right?
talent. It's business. So,
You man, you preaching to the choir. I mean, is it the music business or is it the business's music? I argue it's the
it's the
business's.
business's music.
Yeah, that's what it really is. It's the business's music. And anybody that's got an MBA, basically, man, they you've got 10 basic core classes. I won't bore you with all of them, but basically what they talk about is international business, to where if you can buy lumber from over there in India and it's cheaper to use the exchange rate to convert once you start making goods here in the US, you do anything you can to cut costs and cut waste.
Right.
Or look at who your consumer is, get the voice of customer and serve the customer. Either
But
they
that
have a
works in education. That actually works against you when you're looking for a job. That's what I tell people
mm,
all the time. I said, um,
Advertise with Blonde Intelligence. Advertise with Blonde Intelligence, where our listeners experience exquisite cranial repertoire. Blonde Intelligence is a new podcast and video channel featuring entertainment, musical artists, producers, entrepreneurs, as well as discussions on social topics, making the Blonde Intelligence platform suitable for a wide variety of product ad types. Video, Instagram TV, YouTube, and links shared to all Blonde Intelligence social media pages and select group networking platforms. This creates a collective base of over 50,000 potential sets of eyes on your product or service. Each sponsored ad will feature on both the podcast and video platforms. Sponsors have the choice of either a voice ad or audio-video ad, with 3 options for placements. Create a win-win business partnership by advertising with Blonde Intelligence.
Hi, this is Marlette with Classic Glam by Marlette, where classic never goes out of style. We're based here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, but you can reach us on our website at classicglamgirl.com or Facebook and Instagram at Classic Glam by Marlette.
A bachelor's degree is fine. When you get a master's degree, and like I am in Arkansas, and you get a master's degree, and the job don't require for you to have a master's degree, all they require for you to have is a bachelor's degree, then why pay Sally $10,000 more than I can pay Sue to do the same job? Because all we need for Sue to do is to be able to do what we asked her to do and to have this bachelor's degree. So,
True.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, when you're making a product, yes, you want to find the best quality for the cheapest price. But when you're, I guess, looking for a job, it works totally opposite on the other end.
But that's a good take. Just for the feedback of what you just said, like if you're an individual that's doing a job, yeah, they look at it as a liability. We got to pay you more because you have a degree to be equitable, so you can't discriminate against us. Versus, if you've got a higher end degree like a master's degree, you almost find that it on an individual level, if a person is going to be an entrepreneur, they almost have to take that degree and say, how can I teach? How can I serve others in some capacity? How can I do something on the side outside of my job? I think when people can nexus that, I think it can work. For example, I used to sometimes when times got hard, I was able to take that MBA and teach at college courses and community courses. Somebody could take their master's in social work, and maybe you may not get licensed right away, but you can volunteer or work for a nonprofit. It's just that you may have to do something.
Who get degrees in social work, you can get licensed in social work with a bachelor's, and it makes me mad that I will work with students, and I even have friends that has gotten undergrad in social work and won't even go get licensed in social work. You don't have to have a master's in social work to be licensed.
No, and I've heard someone say, and I don't mean to be rude in saying this, sometimes we've been taught as Americans, like school is where you go to if you get really afraid. Like if you get to a point where, if you get to that point where I want to make more money, but I'm afraid to step out on my dream. And I'm not saying anyone should throw your job away and jump out the window and chase a dream. But for those who don't want to do the hard work, or the hard work is challenging too, while I'm working this job, save what I can, and at night, push this little dream I have until it can overcompensate. A lot of people are like, you know what, I'll just go to school and hopefully something will happen. But the best teacher is life.
I'm going to say this. My undergrad is in sociology. I started off with a major in communications. I wanted to be a radio DJ. But due to circumstances, I changed. But my undergrad is in sociology. And one thing that we learned in sociology, for Black people, the only key to upward mobility is through education. Yeah, you might be talented in something or great at something, can make money at it, but you're not going to be able to get the big loans because you don't understand. You're going to have to pay somebody. Somebody might take advantage of you. So I would just say, in order to get your
Mhm.
fair piece of the pie, you
Yeah.
need to have education. Now, is that saying that you cannot be successful without it? Oh, most definitely you can. Because I tell people all the time, having a degree don't mean anything. Not about intellect, it don't. It means that you had time to go to school. Because I'm not even gonna say, I
Uh, Looks like you're gonna
have
tell on
seen
somebody.
some
Don't tell
people with some
nobody.
degrees that don't go all the way to the top. But we're gonna get back
Yeah,
on subject though.
yeah, yeah,
So tell me, living in Chicago,
yeah.
and there's a lot of greats that came from Chicago, but
It's the
with the, as they would per se, the violence that goes on in Chicago, how has it affected you doing music?
um. So how's the vibe? So Chicago overall has had more of a social conscious vibe when it comes to rap. It has that aspect to it, but then you do have your drill music and your trap music.
And your
How
house music.
Chicago, yeah, and your house music, the
I went
home
to
of
college
house.
with a lot of people from Chicago.
Yeah, yeah. My good cousin Rennie, she has numerous house parties. But how how Chicago has influenced my music, it's made me think of ways to take trap music and make it soul feel good music with some jazz influences. For one, I'm not one to necessarily, definitely in today's climate, I don't lean toward the violent route or any of that. I'm too old for any of that. I don't advocate that. I know what it's like to come from 76 in Albany, 83rd and Loomis, Cabrini Green, to where these areas in Chicago are segregated because of the Housing Act of 1933. All of our grandparents in Chicago on the South Side have the same story of how they get here. Everybody's from Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, Sweetport. No. What Dumas, Arkansas?
Yep.
Yeah, near Sweetport,
I
Louisiana.
have a lot
Why
of
are they
family.
from
They migrated from there.
there?
They either
Yes,
went to the military or they got hired with the post office, and they
factory
were
jobs.
out of there.
Yeah, and if you go on our block in Chicago, everybody's grandparents and them are all from the South in the second migration, where they came here to get jobs because they were sharecroppers. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, I didn't want to go a route where I'm going to try to talk about violence, any of that. I want to bridge the young folk who like trap music and the older folk who like jazz, and just put them together and let's all be happy. You know.
What made you become
So,
interested in jazz?
so, the horns. So for a long time, I
So I'm
grew up in
assuming that you
church.
play an instrument.
Yes, yes. I play a little piano. Um, Most of what I do is electronic, when making the beats and the instrumentals. But with that, the horn sections, when we talk trumpets, the alto saxophone, and the trombone, they mesh together in great harmony really well, and you can almost make it like someone singing. So that harmony and that fusion is immediate feel good. It's immediate feel good
So
to me.
have you worked with any artists? Have any artists used any of your music in their compositions?
Yeah, so as of yet, no, but I have been able to demo with some very good people. Anisha Burchett is a wonderful, amazing singer. And there have been a few others that I've worked with, but no exact features as of yet. But that hopefully in the future that can be forthcoming.
Because I listen, and if you, I mean, even a female rap artist, it would be so dope.
Wow. Well, I humbly appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. And when you say that these days, man, the female rap game is taking over. I mean, you got Cardi, Megan, No Name, Rhapsody, Jean Grey. Some we haven't heard from in a while, but are legends. So absolutely, I would love to get some things to any of those
Yeah.
or anyone
And I
like that.
mean, and even, I'm not even going to call them older. I mean, but I would say some of the earlier generation from, I call it, I call it the death row era, because that's, that was like major popping. But
Right.
during that
Uh,
era, a lot of the people from that era is making comebacks too. So you might want to reach out to some of them because you got some really good talent.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, man, when you talk that older generation, you talk Mia X, Lady of Rage. I mean, wonderful artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to the National Beat Battle Association. I'm your host, Emmanuel Elohim. I'm in the building, brought to you by Chew the Specialist, my man. We got 2 sessions. Each session is 5 rounds. The first round is the pre-made beat. Each team gets 1 minute. Round 2 is the live finger drumming. Each team gets 2 minutes. Round 3 is the R&B joint. So your livest R&B track. Each team gets 1 minute. Round 4 is the live beat making, which is 5 minutes for each team. Round 5 is the sample flip. That's 2 minutes. After the 5th round, we have the bonus round, which is 30 points in addition to what you got.
Hi, this is Marlette with Classic Glam by Marlette, where a classic never goes out of style. We're based here in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, but you can reach us on our website at classicglamgirl.com or Facebook and Instagram at Classic Glam by Marlette.
Absolutely.
So tell me this. How has the political climate
Wow. Yeah.
affected how
Yeah.
people respond to your music? Because with the political climate, I think that a lot of it brings on racism, whereas at some point it would be like, oh, music is music. But now things are so, I would say, in not in all of America, because some people live in their own little bubble. But how has the political climate affected the way people receive your music?
So right now, people have been receiving my music really well via Spotify, and I think it's been, once again, the horn sections are high and they lift up, they vibrate high, and I think they give a happy feeling over a low and dark trap beat. So they've been receiving it very good, very well. However, I kind of demoed a song about some of the things that have been going on, and I'm still waiting to get a demo singer for that. I do feel at the end of the day, just a synopsis, other countries have acknowledged what historical facts and what has happened in their times that has been wrong. And not only have they acknowledged it, like when you look at South Africa and apartheid, or when you look at Germany, you know, in those situations, they acknowledge and they put forth a plan to reconcile the damage. So what has happened systemically, quote unquote, is it law anymore? No, but the damage of what has happened has not been rectified, so that if we want to control, or if we want to monitor certain people, people can go to the places where they've set the conditions to be such at, with different quotas and things of that nature, which aren't fair. So to answer the question, I think that has influenced songwriting. You see the song that Little Baby has. You see the songs that some others have. Alicia Keys just has an album with the song geared towards that. I definitely think in 2020, 2021, we'll see more of that. But I have to say, on a positive note, in my lifetime, I've never seen multiple people of different ethnicities come together. I've never seen that. I mean, and I know some may say, oh, whatever, everybody's not kumbaya, but I'm just saying, in my lifetime, I've the pictures of back in the day didn't include all people on the other side of the line. This is very different, and it's interesting to see that the intersection of economics and you know race, just in a moment, as soon as everyone didn't have a job or that was questioned and something else happened, it shows you everything's not always all right. It's just that people were preoccupied with being on the hamster wheel. So I say all that to say, or I have to charge my battery. I say all that to say that it will continue to, people are going to continue to write songs to bring people together, to let people know that there's more that brings us together than there is that separates us. At the end of the day, everybody's going to have a child or a grandchild. And what do you want? At some point, you want the world to be better for your child or your grandchild. And that's everybody. So we got to get back to the point where music brings people back together. And it's funny that when people suffer together, the music is better. When people going through something together, the music's better.
Yeah.
60s, 70s, people get comfortable, the music gets comfortable, it gets bad. So,
Well, tell me this.
Mhm.
How do you feel about, as a man,
okay.
how women are portrayed in the media, especially Black women?
Wow. Okay, we're digging deep. So keep it high level. I will say this. I think the truth of what is happening in our culture and the way that our women are portrayed is that in our society, our women seem to almost be raised to be the men that they cannot have, or in a proactive way it will be taken from them in some way. You understand? Like that. That's the one aspect, and it's been pushed for a long time, and it's become cultural. And then the second aspect is misogyny, and when you have those two, it objectifies our women to a point where I believe a woman should be able to own her sensuality. That should be fine, right? But it gets to be a point to where between being independent and you need to be the man that you're not, and misogyny, it puts them into this place where it's like they're not allowed to be human, and that's not fair. Because there's another side to this that no one wants to talk about. When we tell a woman, you must be independent, that's not her natural. Everyone should be self-sufficient. That's different than independence. When she has to be independent, nobody's telling her, okay, but when you're 40, you're going to live to your 85, and you're going to live longer than your current age, and people still expect you to be this thing, and that's so unfair. And I think us women and us as men need to stop the whole I don't need you, you don't need me, and take our masks off and be vulnerable and say, you know what, the truth of the matter is, I feel inadequate. I've never been enough in my childhood or in these certain places in my life. You don't have to be strong all the time. Because we're going through the same thing, I understand you and I can help heal you. And we can heal each other instead of defending ourselves, our individuality all of the time. And I think other cultures are not doing, man, you go across the seas, they're not defending individuality all the time. It's a team sport. The team, the family shared suffering unit that made those things happen. So to answer your original question, I think there's a positive turn to where many women are probably going to start to understand, you know what, in this pandemic, this whole independent stuff, yeah, I can be independent. I'm self-sufficient, I'm educated, but does that best serve me? You know what I mean? If it's okay to say, you know, I want someone to take care of me. I don't have to be strong. For us as men too.
So tell me this then.
Yeah.
Sorry. So tell me this.
No.
What do you think about the men reaction to the WAP song?
So from what I've seen, everybody has responded positive. Everyone has responded positively. I mean, it's been selling. Everybody knows about it. Everybody has responded positively. The men's response in what way? I mean, because their response seems to be positive. It's the most popular.
They
song
love
in the
it
world.
for themselves, but then they'll throw in. I have seen several throw in a line of, "But not for my daughter." Okay, so I get to this point on it when men make that point. Oh yeah, but not for my daughter to listen to. Right. Well, this is the thing. You as a parent are supposed to censor what your children see and hear. Absolutely. Anyway. But Absolutely. Those two women are adults. So if a man is thinking about, oh, I want my woman to talk to me like that, or I want my woman to do this right here, then it's all good. So I'm just asking, what do you think about the differences of opinions between the men and the women on that song? Even some of the politicians that have made some ugly comments about it.
Yeah. So it kind of goes with the earlier comment that I had was, so those two are entertainers and they're great entertainers. They got bars. Megan from Houston, Cardi. But I think the problem is every day, and I'm not a woman, but it seems like everyday women in the real life that are in the real world are put into a box that is hard for them to get out of. Like Megan and Cardi, they're entertainers with millions of dollars. They can be bosses. But everyday average women, if they keep seeing that, it perpetuates an idea in this male dominated society that, hey, that's the box we put you in and you can't get out of that. And I think that some men are saying, hey, for my daughter, I want to protect my daughter, and I don't want her to be objectified and become this thing of property. Men don't want that. It's this. To be honest, it's every man's fear. It's every man's fear to not be able to protect his daughter.
So what do you think about the new? I don't know if you've seen it or not. The new ad where the strippers are on the pole, and they said get to the pole, and they telling everybody to get out and vote. About some of the projects that you have released and the singles that you have out now.
Absolutely. So some of the projects, the one I'm really proud of, Trapp Jazz. It is wonderful. The two favorite songs on there is one dedicated to my mom called Renita in Paradise. Great horn jazz instrumental. The other one, Soulful Bop. It's got some great horn sections in that. I really like that album, and it's streaming fairly well right now. Outside of that, there is an album that I made for anybody who likes to go video games called Every Day is a Game. It's got some good songs on there for you to use in your video games if you're a freelance developer. And the Therapy for Theater is some orchestra sounds and instrumentals for those who make video games.
So tell me this. You told me that you play the piano. So how are you playing your other instruments? Are you having people to record them and you putting them onto your MacBook and then you're copying them? Or are you just creating it on like GarageBand? Or how are you doing the other instruments?
Absolutely. So I use two different programs. I use FL Studio and I use Logic. And I even use GarageBand to mix the different sounds that I make within the digital audio workspace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me
I
how.
mean, and you say again?
Tell me how.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we go into the workspace, I go through everything from our different synth sounds, our drum sounds, and I just record them, place them where I need to. It can take days, weeks. There's some things that take years. Like I have a backlog of about at least 2,000 songs, but I kind of choose the best ones.
So you have a catalog of 2,000 songs?
Well, so let me say this. That doesn't mean that they have been published or copywritten yet. Like in my computers, like I got about 3 computers, and they started off sometimes as sketches. So you come home from a hard day's work, you get into your MIDI and your keyboards, and you just kind of have a jam session of some chords. Then you go ahead and say you have the piano chords, and then you start, something feels good, you complement that with the bass that's in the digital audio workspace. It doesn't get finished, and you just keep working it till it feels good. So sometimes it's all improv, and then it starts sounding like something, and you stop, and you come back another 2 days, and you just try to perfect what it's sounding out, and not try to force anything. So that's how a lot of the things.
Kind of like a hairdo.
Yeah, if you want to say, okay.
And look, I do hair sometimes, so you might do it and be like, well, it needs like a little swirl right there, or it needs something else right here. But that's what a producer do.
Yeah.
And the producer is the salt and pepper.
Yeah. He's the visionary. The visionary. I mean, it goes from. And the thing about music that's funny, it goes from being something therapeutic for me that I had a hard day on my civilian job and I'm stressed and making music relaxes me, then it'll start sounding like, oh, that reminds me of Anita Baker. Maybe I should try to do this. Or that reminds me of that. So yeah, but it takes time,
Okay. Okay. I want to thank you for coming. I want you to tell everybody where they can find you at, your social media handles, everything about you, so they'll know where to find you, to follow you, to subscribe, everything.
Absolutely. So right now, Trap Jazz is on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on all outlets. Just go ahead and type in my name, Royce Braxton, on any of those outlets, and Trap Jazz and all the other music will come up. Absolutely. Please enjoy.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank you for coming. And I want to let everybody know, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. It's on all major platforms. And don't forget to subscribe to the video channel. Bye.
Advertise with Blonde Intelligence, where our listeners experience exquisite cranial repertoire. Blonde Intelligence is a new podcast and video channel featuring entertainment, musical artists, producers, entrepreneurs, as well as discussions on social topics, making the Blonde Intelligence platform suitable for a wide variety of product ad types. Video, Instagram TV, YouTube, and links shared to all Blonde Intelligence social media pages and select group networking platforms. This creates a collective base of over 50,000 potential sets of eyes on your product or service. Each sponsored ad will feature on both the podcast and video platforms. Sponsors have the choice of either a voice ad or audio-video ad, with 3 options for placements. Create a win-win business partnership by advertising with Blonde Intelligence.